Welcome to Greater Faith Outreach Ministries, reaching the world with the love of God.
Hello, how are you? So we are back with the amazing guest, Dawn from CareNet, and she was my teacher actually. I was supposedly be a volunteer, but I was so busy with my pageant stuff. To be continue.
Good.
Right? So I have a huge respect for this lady, Dawn, and I learned so much, and she's a great speaker. So I just want to highlight her. So could you introduce yourself to people and to see what you do exactly in CareNet, how long you've been working for CareNet and everything, please?
My name is Dawn Darby, and my job title is Director of Volunteer Education. I train volunteers, as Tanika already said. We have a lot of volunteers at the center, and I train the in-center volunteers. I also teach the CareNet 101 seminars that we have, which reach out to the Christian community, not necessarily people who want to volunteer, but who might wonder how to get involved. That's one of the first steps. They can come to a CareNet 101 seminar. So you can go on, as Tanika said, carenetps.org to find out when those are and where they're located and how to sign up for them. The CareNet 101s are free. But in terms of my history, I became involved with CareNet back when I was in college. I actually was on the steering committee of what we called it then, the Crisis Pregnancy Center of Pierce County in Tacoma, Washington. So I was on the original steering committee and then on the board, and then I was the executive director for 5.5 years. And then I stepped down to get married and raise 5 children, and now I'm back training volunteers.
Wow, that's amazing.
Nice.
So, Dawn, let me ask you. I mean, this is obvious, but I just want to hear from you. So, when does actually life begin?
Well, medically, life begins when the sperm and the egg join. And so that's when human life begins. And so a woman does not know that she's pregnant usually at that point. Usually it's another 2 weeks or so before the embryo implants in her uterus. But human life has begun before that.
So even before the egg and sperm meets, like
No, before implantation, human life
implantation.
exists before implantation.
Implantation. Okay.
When the sperm and the egg unite, that is when a new human life that has never existed before and never will exist again is created.
From a biblical standpoint, in Jeremiah, it talks about that. You know, I formed you in your
In the
mother.
womb.
Yes, I
Yeah.
knew you before you were even formed in your mother's womb.
Yes.
And you guys brought a great illustration, a picture there of Mary and Elizabeth.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Could
yeah.
you explain that?
Yeah.
Sure. I like to talk about the story of Mary and Elizabeth from Luke 1. And of course, we've probably all heard of that because it was just Christmas.
Yeah.
But I like to talk about that story because here in this story in Luke 1, starting at verse 39, we have some interactions there. And you see Mary and Elizabeth, a young woman and an old woman. But there's also 2 more people in this story. One is Jesus in his first trimester, and the other one is John, who later becomes John the Baptist in the 3rd trimester. We don't know how old exactly anybody is in the story, as a matter of fact, but you see the interaction between all these 4 individuals, and you see actually the very first worshiping of Jesus the Messiah by John, another baby in the womb. So I love telling that story when I teach volunteers and when I teach my seminars, because I want people to realize that the Bible does have something to say about human life before birth.
Wow.
And John leaped in that womb.
Yes, he did.
Exactly. That's awesome.
Yes.
So, do you run into any kind of challenges and adversary a lot when you are teaching these classes, either to staff or clients? Do you teach to clients as well?
No, I don't
just
teach
do-
to clients. I teach volunteers.
Volunteers.
And we are a volunteer ministry. We have staff. We have 6 locations and 2 mobile units. So we do have paid staff, but mostly our ministry is run by volunteers. And so that's who I teach, is our volunteers.
Oh, I see. So, why do you do what you do?
I would say I was first interested in pro-life issues back in high school and college because I wanted to save the babies. But as I got more involved with the Crisis Pregnancy Center, as we called it then, I came to have a deep sympathy and empathy and compassion for women in crisis situations who had nowhere else to turn. I mean, we talk about pro-choice, we talk about women doing what they want to do. But when a woman comes in and says, I don't have another choice but to have an abortion, well, what kind of pro-choice is that? And so I love the Ministry of CareNet because we offer all the choices. We offer information on all the choices. As Tanika said, we do not do abortions or refer for abortion because we are pro-life. But we tell women and men all about abortion so that they can make an informed choice. We are very much in favor of women knowing what they are going to do before they themselves make a choice. And a lot of women will think twice about abortion once they know exactly what it goes on with abortion.
Exactly. I mean, I really like that. Like when Tanika was here, I explained when I saw my baby, jumping on my womb, when I look at the ultrasound, that just changed my perspective of everything. So I appreciate of your service, that you give women and men a chance to be more educated about whole thing.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I appreciate that a lot, So, yeah, I mean, do you have any question, Wendy?
I just think it's exciting, because when I was young, they didn't have this kind of thing. And I see the fervency in your spirit that you want to help those that are in crisis. And, and when you are pregnant and you're 15, you are in crisis. And if there's not a place to go, then that's all you think that you can do.
Yes.
Especially if you don't have parents who are behind you. So to know that there's something there for a young lady to go to and not be fearful about, just go in there and just be ministered to in every way. And, even to the point of having someone there for you after birth, that takes care of some supplies you need as a mother. So I'm excited about that. That's cool.
In fact, I had a client when I was the director. Of course, this is years ago, but she called up and I happened to answer the phone and she said, I'm 6 months along. Can you tell me where I can get an abortion? And I said, you must be feeling the baby move. And she said, yes, I am. And anyway, we talked a little bit more and it turns out that she was new to Tacoma. She had nothing but an empty apartment and a car. No friends, no family, and she's 6 months along. And anyway, I forget the whole scenario because now it's been, 25, 30 years. But what she really needed was food. She was starving. And so we managed to bring her some food. And then I called up some people in my church and we got her some furniture. And of course, she got a doctor. She came in and got maternity clothes. Then she got baby clothes. She loved that baby. Oh my goodness, she loved that baby so much. But it turns out she had nothing, and so she thought abortion was the answer. But it turns out she just needed some support and help. And it was so exciting. And in fact, I got to be there with her when she had the baby because she had nobody here. So she called me up, I'm in labor, come to the hospital now. And anyway, boy, that was exciting.
It's like touched my heart a lot.
Yeah.
Since my prayer now is that CareNet could go to a public school system or any other, places so that you can educate the young men and women.
Educate them, yes.
So
Yes, we do have a school program, and we get
That's
into a lot of public and
wonderful.
private schools in King and Pierce
needed.
counties.
Oh, that's awesome. That's really good.
Yes. And we have another image of a beautiful family, Nick's family.
Yeah.
And I want to talk about that.
Yes, the reason why I love this picture and I like to talk about Nick Voyage is because he was, if you know his story, he was born without arms and legs. Now, his parents were Christians, and I'm sure they would not have considered abortion if they had known he was going to be born like this. But let's just say, because a lot of people say, oh, babies in this situation, we should have abortion for fetal deformity, right? Well, if they had said Nick should be aborted and he had been, then what would have happened with his ministry? As you know, if you know Nick Voyage, his ministry is all over the world with young people.
Yeah.
And I mean, I've seen pictures of teenagers crying on his shoulder because he talks about bullying and all that. And another thing I like to bring up with this picture is that Satan wants to kill God in effigy, which means he tries to kill human beings because we are made in his image.
That's right.
Now, abortion cannot kill the image of God because it can't kill our soul.
Right.
But abortion can kill the next generation. And I like this picture because it shows what would have happened if Nick Vujicic had been aborted. Those 4 precious children would not have existed. And then someday their children would not exist. And then someday theirs, and on and on. And that's what we're trying to do. Not only save a woman from the choice of abortion, which, as we know, hurts so many people, men and women both, but then it takes the life of that baby, and then it takes the life of generations to come. And we are pro-life. We love those made in the image of God, and so we offer hope and help and compassion to women and men who feel like they don't know where to turn.
Wow, I'm feeling chills listening to you. Did I tell you that she's a great speaker? Can you tell, look at the camera, I'm sure there are a lot of hurting women now, full of fear. Could you say something to him or her? I mean, it could be partner as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Our compassion goes out to women and men who have chosen abortion in their lives or who have been a part of that decision in someone else's life. We know that pain. And so that's why we have our Healing Tide ministry. And if you are even interested in the possibility of going through a class like that, go onto our website, CareNet PS. It stands for CareNet of Puget Sound, carenetps.org, and you can get the numbers to call for more information about Healing Tide. It is a Bible-based ministry, but we have different ways of going through that class, whether it's a one-on-one, whether it's a group class, or whether it's a retreat. And we know the pain. We are not here to bring judgment. We are here to bring compassion, hope, and help. The Lord came to save all of us who are sinners. Not one of us. We have all committed different sins. We all know the power of sin, but we as Christians know the power of redemption. And that's why Jesus came into the world, is to heal us from the choices that we've made, the sinful choices we've made. So please don't stay in your pain. Don't stay in your pain. God did not mean for you to stay in that pain. And we know at CareNet the pain of abortion.
And that number's on the bottom of the page. If it's, it should be scrolling along the bottom. If you need help, call.
Please do.
What if the woman who needs help doesn't have any transportation? Then maybe your friends who are going through the same pain that I gone through. Would you think about giving them a ride? Because that's what my friend Tonette did. I didn't
That'd
have a
be
car.
great.
Yeah.
Oh,
So that's my prayer, and also pray that maybe Karen have enough donations so that you guys could provide that transportation as well.
Yes, I mean, we are not allowed to transport our clients ourselves for legal reasons, but that's another good thing that friends can do, is provide transportation or babysitting.
Yes.
If you are a client who needs to come in and you need babysitting, or if you're a volunteer and you need babysitting, that's another way to volunteer, is to babysit a volunteer's children.
Yes.
So that they can volunteer. But there are a lot of different ways to volunteer as well. So you can go on to the website and find that out, and come to a CareNet 101 and find out all the different ways you can volunteer.
So how do I apply? Just go online?
Go online.
Go online. Do you have to get a college degree to be a volunteer?
Please don't wait to get a college degree. Our volunteers are from all walks of life, from professionals to stay-at-home moms with no college degree at all. It really doesn't matter. Do you have a compassionate heart? Are you a Christian? You do have to be a Christian to be a volunteer for CareNet. And part of my training is teaching the gospel, because we want everybody who knows the healing of the Lord Jesus Christ to then be able to share it. And so we do train people to share the gospel. But that is the one requirement, is that all of our volunteers are Christian. We are a Christian-based organization.
Oh, thank
And
you.
you really live up to your name.
Oh, for
CareNet,
sure.
because you care so
We
much
do.
compassion. Well, I see our time is out, but thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thanks for having us.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much. Until next time, we're going to
Yeah.
close
Yeah.
out.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
You've been listening to Greater Faith Outreach Ministries with Pastor Elizabeth, reaching the world with the love of God. If you'd like prayer or a copy of today's program, log on to www.greaterfaithoutreach.com or call 253-324-7902.